Shalom, shalom. First off, I want to start out by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule and teach well. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make your calling and election sure. Shalom. This is your brother Hashah from the Great Millstone Savannah Camp, coming back in the spirit with another lesson, Lord willing. I pray and hope that it's edifying and exhorting. All right. And Salaki. Right. Doing this lesson, concerning an article that I had pulled up. It's from CBS News. It says Trump has discussed timeline for Iran strikes, including as soon as this weekend, but no decision yet. So, and this was February the 18th. Today is February the 19th, I believe. Yeah, because tomorrow's the 20th. So, they have been talking about, doing these strikes on Iran. Bibi Netanyahu, right, and not a Jew, met with DJ Trump the other day here in America, actually, to I guess discuss their military action, right? And basically the Lord is holding back those four winds, man. All right. They want to strike Iran, right? But now they have to be a lot more strategic with what they're doing. One, because Iran has allies that are threatening basically retaliation for any strikes against Iran, right? And those allies are China and Russia and North Korea. China's a big one. They rely on Iran for a lot of their oil. All right. Also there's major naval confrontations happening, all right, in the Strait of Hormuz, which is a oil choke point for the world. Okay, so this is very it's very prophetic and beautiful times that we're living in, man. All right, because we see prophecy being basically speaking loud and clear, right? I want to get the least of the flock, right? Jeremiah chapter 50. I'm gonna start at 43. It says, the king of Babylon have heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. All right. It says, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore, hear ye, O the counsel of Yahweh, that he have taken against Babylon. So the Lord is taking counsel. The things that are happening, all right, all these moves, all right, the Lord is moving the pieces around. Okay, this is Lord. The Lord is devising, these different military moves against the nations. All right, ultimately all the nations, the heathen, right? It says, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. So the Lord has purposed, this time against the land of the Chaldeans. The modern day Chaldeans are the, first and foremost, the Amalekites, the so-called JEWs, right, that are in the Holy Land, right? And then, certain of the elites of the Edomites, man. Okay, the so-called white race, right? It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make thee, Salakia, he shall make their habitation desolate with them, right? And the least of the flock is, I think when you go into that in the online etymology, which, you know, we could do, right? Jeremiah chapter 50, it's all the way at the end, right? I think the least goes into the youngest, right? Which is that, right? It says the little, insignificant, younger, the youngest, right? And when you go into all the Edomite nations, the youngest Edomite nation, right, is the 1948ers over there in the Holy Land, right? So the least of the flock is going to draw who out? The nations, right? All the nations are going to valley to Salakia. They're going to gather into the valley of Jehoshaphat for judgment, okay? And the small hats are going to be the ones to lead it, right? And we know that, you know, Bibi, not a Jew, right, has been, you know, basically for years claiming that they have weapons of, you know, mass destruction, and they have nuclear warheads that they want to use against them, right? So America has been, you know, has been able to be that umbrella, that big brother that, you know, basically does whatever. You know, he's really like a bodyguard, right, for the small hats. Okay, this is Joel chapter 3, and I'm gonna start at verse 9. All right, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hook into spears, let the weak say I am strong. All right, and you know, now that you know, we're getting closer and closer to the end, right? The nations are now not focusing on, you know, they're not focusing on making food and feeding their citizens. They're not focused on these things. All right, the focus is nuclear arms. All right, the focus is an arms race. And, you know, there's a silent arms race going on right now, right? Which the people of America, they're not really hip to it. They don't really know what's going on. But Trump is talking about, you know, basically increasing the military budget, like I think like something like from 1 trillion to 3 trillion, right? By next year, I believe. You know, I have to go look back into it, but you know, they're basically ramping up, you know, warfare, you know, manufacturing, okay, the military industrial complex, okay. So all these things are taking place because it's biblical prophecy, right? It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. And when you go into this word, Jehoshaphat, it means the valley of decisions, the valley of judgment, Yahweh Shaphat, the valley of Yahweh's judgment, okay? Yahweh's the heavenly Father, all right? It says, for I will sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full, and the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. All right, and even in Revelation, it talks about how the wickedness of Babylon the Great, America, has reached unto the heavens. Right, it has, you know, basically gone so far. Okay, and you know, they're speaking great words against the Heavenly Father. You know, speaking great things against him, man, saying, you know, you have Yuval Harari, all right, who basically said, you know, we don't need God anymore. Okay, we don't need God, and you know, if we want to, you know, if there's a drought, we can make our own rain. You know, we can make our own food. Well, this is the pride of the so-called white man, right? And Obadiah speaks about how that pride is, basically his deception. It's deceiving him, right, into thinking that he is better, right, and that he knows better than the Heavenly Father. So it's a trick, right? It says multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision, right? And that's speaking about the Levant region in the Middle East, right? And I want to get this other precept just to go along with that, right? Because if you look at what's been taking place over the years, that Levant region has been a place where they're readying war, right? And Turkey, I think today, Turkey just sent some warships over to that area as well. You have China, the Middle East, you have a lot of warships, naval warships being stationed over there in that Levant region, right? All preparing and readying up for that war that is going to go down, right? And this is Revelation, the 16th chapter and the 12th verse. It says, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up. And if you look at the Euphrates, they're basically experiencing great drought in some of those areas that have allowed the building of different transportation just transportation systems to reach to the other side of that, to either side of that river, right? It says, and the water thereof dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. You see? So the way of the kings being prepared is the warfare being prepared in that region, man. Like we say, in the Levant region, right, in the Middle East, right, and it's being prepared for war, right? It's not gonna, there's not gonna be peace. You have Trump, coming up with his board of peace. Well, there's not going to be any peace. All right. The Lord is stirring up the spirit of war out here, man. And it's beautiful to see, because this is what we look for. All right. This is what Yahweh Shem Yahushua has set up the prophets for, man. All right. And let me get Second Esdras, the 15th chapter. I think it's the 29th verse, right? I'm gonna start at 27. Second Esdras 15 and 27. It says, for now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for Yahweh shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east. So it's letting you know that this war, right, which is the war to end all worlds, right, a war to end all wars, right? Revelation 12 and 12, I believe it is. It says, behold, the third, it might be 11 and 11. Behold, the second woe is past, the third woe cometh quickly. Right? And this is the war to end all wars, man. This war is going to be fought with fuel and flame of fire. Okay? It's going to be fought with thermonuclear missiles. Now, there is going to be certain naval wars. If you look at the Ukraine war, right? The Ukraine-Russian war, that's an extension of, what the war is going to look like. What World War III is going to look like. Yeah, they're using foot soldiers, right? Like the days of old, right? Every battle of the soldiers, roughly paraphrasing, right? Every soldier is, matter of fact, let me just get it, man. I don't want to butcher it. Confused noise. Right? Isaiah 9 and 5, it says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, right? So this is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. The warfare is very, it's very different than it was back in the day, right? Now they're dropping bombs on people. You look at what happened in Gaza, right? They didn't really, ground soldiers come in after, but they were, basically bombing things, man, strategically bombing things like buildings and places that could take out a lot of people, right? And then, there's little small warfares that take place in between, right, with soldiers. Okay, so let me go back to Joel chapter 3. Matter of fact, no, I was done with Joel. 2nd Ezra 15 and 29, it says, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. They all, Salakia, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmenians raging, right? And this is going into the dragons of Arabia. The Carmenians are going into the Iranians, those Arab nations over there, man. All right, the Saudis, the Yemen, right? The UAE, all these different nations, man. They're gonna eventually side and go against America, man. Okay, it says also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, right? In the modern day, Assyrians are the Americans, man, the Babylon the Great, and NATO and the EU. It says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, right? They're gonna go back to that strength. They're gonna get their strength back, right? It says, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread, and strife among their kings. Right? So, of course, it ain't gonna be a slaughter or anything like that. And this is why America is being very calculated, and also Iran is being very calculated, right? This is why Iran has, just sat back and took, so much from America, man. They have, just taken so much, man. They went over there and they bombed one of their nuclear sites, allegedly, and nothing happened, man. They didn't retaliate. They didn't do anything back. They just taking it. Why? Because they know that coming up against this great whore, Babylon the Great, right? It's gonna be the end of them. It's gonna be the end of their country's warfare. Really, they have to be very calculated, because once you enter into that realm, that fight, there's no turning back. So I just wanted to do this quick lesson, going into, this war, this third world's war that is, steadily ramping up. It's getting hot, all right? And, war is being prepared in the earth, man. It's beautiful to see. So, Lord willing, this was edifying, exhorting. I want to end off by giving all the glory, infinite praise and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Akadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make your calling and election sure. Shalom. and a Bible ball.